Hello everybody, this is Bhante Cho here, and I'm just here at the Pilikutua/Yongamula forest, and thought to record a short Dhamma discussion for the internet. So I thought I could start with just a little meditation, so you can lean forward a bit, arch your spine, and look about 3 feet in front, and close our eyes. And can focus in on the breath. Can know when it's coming in, and know when it's going out. If we breathe in a long breath, you can just know I'm breathing in a long breath. And if we breathe in a short breath, you can just know I'm breathing in a short breath. Focus in on the breath at the tip of the nose, and if notice any patterns of tension around the nose, around the face, you can just let those relax. And can relax any patterns of tension around the cheeks, around the chin. And can practice breathing in and out from this area at the tip of the nose. And when breathing in and out from the tip of the nose, it can be good to make mindfulness as continuous as possible, being aware all the way through the in-breath, as the in-breath turns to the out-breath, all the way through the out-breath, and as the out-breath turns back to the in-breath again. Trying to keep mindfulness as continuous as possible. To the past or the future, you can just bring it back to the present moment, to the breath. And before we finish meditating, you can spread thoughts of goodwill, wishing may all beings all around everywhere be happy and at ease. May they put in place the causes necessary to be happy and at ease. And we can make the mind infinite, can make it unbounded, all the way to the ends of the universe and beyond, in every dimension. May all beings all around everywhere be happy and at ease. And can open our eyes and do a short Dhamma discussion for the internet. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi, Dhammāṃ saranang gacchāmi, Saṅghāṃ saranang gacchāmi. Tatiyampi Buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Dhammāṃ saranang gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Saṅghāṃ saranang gacchāmi. Tatiyampi Buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Dhammāṃ saranang gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Saṅghāṃ saranang gacchāmi. So I hope that everybody's keeping well wherever it might be. And today we're in a little bit of a race to try to beat the storm. There's a storm here, so I think that prospects are good for finishing the video before the storm is over. So I was having a back and forth via kind of email and voice message with somebody from Canada over the last few weeks, last month or so, and some interesting topics came up. So one of them was, what he mentioned was that nowadays there's this kind of a lot of writing or a lot of talk about kind of pain stored in the body. And he wanted to know if anything was said about this in Buddhism. And so as far as the Sutta Pitaka goes, I'm not personally aware of any direct references to pain being stored in the body. There's references to relaxing the body, references to in the Anapanasati Sutta, and also I think in other suttas as well. There's references to relaxing the body, to trying to make the body relaxed. So whatever tension would be coming from some pain stored in the body would come under this instruction. One of the things with the Sutta Pitaka I was discussing with this gentleman is that the Buddha's way of teaching was kind of very precise and also very concise. The Buddha didn't add or subtract anything more than was basically exactly necessary, more or less. That's one aspect. And the other aspect was that the Buddha's teachings in the Sutta Pitaka were always handed down in a community of practitioners. And the community of practitioners were the people who, if you had some kind of unusual advice that might come under one of the categories that are given in the suttas, then one could go to one of one's fellow Sangha members and talk about this. This is the kind of issue that I'm having. What do I do to overcome it? Or I've tried this method, tried that method, I'm having this and this come up. So, for this reason, it's likely that the Buddha did not mention about pain being stored in the body directly for a couple different reasons. One is that just this instruction to find a way to relax the body would subsume underneath it relaxing any tension that's associated with past traumatic events in the body. The second one is that there is always a danger if one teaches it. The Buddha said that he taught just a handful of leaves, and what he knew was like the leaves in this whole forest. And the handful of leaves, Simsapa leaves, they're apparently like the size of little dimes. You can imagine just like a little handful versus thousands and thousands and thousands of leaves overhead. So one of the things is that if one teaches people about that, says, yeah, there's pain stored in the body, what it can do is sidetrack people off and get them to try to play around with all these various things in their body without addressing the root cause of the craving and the defilements that are keeping this traumatic event going. So as far as the Sutta Pitaka, so it's just these very brief instructions. But among kind of meditators, among kind of in the meditation community, then these things are usually well known about generally and talked about. That kind of that pain can be stored in the body, or traumatic events can have a focal point of tension. Can have a focal point of tension in the body. And so there's all these various techniques that one can play with to try to relax the tensions in one's body, and to try to make the body more calm, to try to make the body more light. And these are reasonable and good things to do. And that's recommended to find ways basically to relax the body in the Sutta Pitaka. But if one has had a traumatic event and one is still reacting to that event in the present moment, if one was mugged in a dark alley and fear comes up whenever one comes near an alley, and one reacts out of that fear is essentially going to keep this pattern of tension in one way or another located in the body. It won't let it go. So in other words, the mind, there's a Dhammapada verse that the mind is the forerunner. And the mind is the forerunner, it's the chief. So in other words, the mind is the forerunner of these problems with the body. They can contribute and cross-contribute. But regardless of whether one can kind of do super yoga poses and get oneself all up into a pretzel, if one is still attached to negative thoughts, negative emotions, to whatever negative aspects of the emotional experience are surrounding this painful event, then the difficulties that come with these patterns of tension in the body will likely not be alleviated. So the main teaching in the Sutta Pitaka and the Buddha, the Buddha's main teaching is to address the mental issues, address the craving, address the hatred, address the delusion. Whatever it is, the past traumatic event, whatever aspect of these things it is, then one has to address that event as it comes up in one's mind. One has to learn to not react to it in the same ways that one used to. If one can do this, then that in and of itself will stop or halt or relax some of these patterns of tension. When one comes to meditate, what one may tend to find is that actually thoughts are channeled through the body through certain kind of like energy roads. If a person directs their mind in a certain way, then the energy in the body is routed in a certain way in order to help those particular kinds of thoughts or actions or whatever it may be arise more frequently. It's one of the aspects of habituation. There's this kind of mental aspect, but also there's these energy roads in the body. So when people come to meditate, they sometimes feel this kind of energy coming up to their head and kind of going up to their head as a result of them trying to focus. So with these kind of things that one notices, these are like the leaves in the forest, and one can learn to play with them and kind of play with them a little bit. One has a past traumatic event come up. It can be helpful to just try to relax the body a little bit to see if it can help one with the emotional state that's coming up. But one still has to make the appropriate decision. One still has to act in the appropriate way if one wants to get the ease that comes from letting go of this past trauma or this past painful event. So just to recap, the long and short of those answers is that in the Sutta Pitaka, the Buddha gives very precise, gives very concise answers and doesn't add a lot of detail where that detail would not be necessary. And so this kind of thing about tension being in the body or past traumatic events, it would come under the Buddha's instructions to relax the body. But the Sutta Pitaka, the teachings of the Buddha were always handed down in a Sangha. For a long time they were just oral. And so within the community of practitioners, these things about tension in the body and memories, traumas being kind of having a locus of tension in the body, those things are known about. And one can learn to work with them. But the most important thing is to always keep track of the mental aspect. Always keep track of what one is doing, how one is reacting to these things, and what mental habits one is creating around them. Because the mind is chief, the mind is forerunner. And so long as one acts with a pure mind, then one can help to alleviate this tension, alleviate the past event, and get over the trauma, regardless of whether one does anything really special to relax the body, although these things can help. Okay, so I think leave that for reflection. There's been some raindrops, and wishing everybody all the blessings of Dhamma practice.